Okay, so this is the lecture number 53 on non-conventional drainage systems. So, the previous slides we have been talking about conventional drainage systems, where the surface and subsurface drainage systems such as open ditches and tile drains. So, but some places where these systems are costlier, so then someone has to go for non-conventional drainage systems. So, we are going to see in this lecture mostly what are those non-conventional drainage systems. So, here, so this is basically adopted when the conventional surface drainage system, subsurface drainage system methods are not suitable due to technical or economic reasons. So, basically, so these conventional or non-conventional drainage systems are classified into vertical drainage, biodrainage and mold drainage. So, these basically these three drainage systems, non-conventional drainage systems, we are going to discuss in this lecture. So, the basic function is to achieve the same goal as that of conventional drainage methods. So, removing excess water from the root zone. So, that is the main objective, or in case of even in non-conventional drainage systems. So, here if you see the vertical drainage, this is the number 1 we were talking about. So, in case of vertical drainage system, so the drawdown in the case of subsurface drainage system is limited to a maximum depth of 2 meter in case, and the tube well devoters the soil profile from much greater depth 20 to 30 meters. So, here in this picture if you clearly see, so the vertical drainage, so like for example, this is one well, and this is second well, third well, fourth well. So, the field consists of series of wells, and all wells are connected and pumped, I mean the water is being pumped from the subsurface. Okay. So, this is the advantage here, but maximum you may achieve 2 meter maximum depth, and but in case of the tube wells, so generally tube wells can go up to 20 to 30 meter and dewater. So, this is the another dangerous, like you can also tap the groundwater in case of in addition to your drainage water. Okay. So, and so the basically in the vertical drainage we will be using the tube wells to remove the excess water from the root zone. Okay. So, here in this example or in this picture if you see, so this is one tube well, and this is one another tube. So, there is a series of tubes which is installed in the field to remove excess waters, and all tubes are connected, and finally, so that will be the water which is from the subsurface will be removed. And then for example, here the cost estimation, if you see the conventional drainage and vertical drainage. So, the drain spacing and here the well spacing, and on y axis net annual system cost in dollar per acre and net annual system cost in dollar per acre. So, generally for drain line spacing, so for economically, so this is 65 feet will be more economical, like drain line spacing. So, correspond to that you get $160 per acre. So, for $160 per acre here, so here this is a maximum you get, even you can increase the well spacing, right, well spacing in feet. Okay. So, for the same acre, like in 1 acre, so you can for $160 with $160. So, you can accommodate vertical drainage could effectively work compared to the conventional drainage. Okay. So, and then so this is related to the clay soil, and which is taken from the California Agriculture Journal. Basically the study was taking place in UC Davis campus. Okay. So, So, the vertical drainage has economical benefits rather than the conventional drainage, and that's because it requires less number of wells and less cost, but the thing is the operational cost will be more because so the vertical drainage also requires a pump to remove water, whereas the conventional drainage may not require a pump. Okay, so this is the, and then the biodrainage. So, the biodrainage, the basically going for plantation, right, in biodrainage. So, the plants are grown, the plantation crops or the trees are grown in the area of drainage problematic areas, and that will deep rooted plants will remove the water through evaporation or evapotranspiration. Okay. So, this may be defined as pumping of excess soil water by deep rooted plants using their bioenergy. Okay. So, because the bioenergy in this sense, so the solar energy basically will help in taking the water from the deep rooted to the atmosphere. So, through evapotranspiration. So, the plant's transpiration is met primarily by withdrawing groundwater, and rice plants also transpire quite heavily, but the process is not called biodrainage because so the roots are up to confined to 30 to 40 centimeter deep. So, it is a shallow roots. So, generally we do not call it as a biodrainage in case of rice plants. And so, the next is, so biodrainage the medium to deep rooted plants in shallow water table region may act a small capacity tube well. So, similar to in case of vertical drainage. So, it is each tree here. So, these are each tree could be acted as a tube well, right, which because it removes water from the subsurface. So, in case of tube well drainage, the area encompasses by the tube well network is available for normal crop production, right. But in the case of biodrainage, by a cluster of plants, the area within the cluster cannot be used for normal production. Okay. So, this is the main difference if you are talking about the vertical drainage and biodrainage. Biodrainage in case of vertical drainage, so since the tube wells are installed within the the crop area, so you can still use the crop area for crop production. So, but whereas in biodrainage the trees are being planted, so that acts as vertical tube wells. So, or vertical drainage. So, so the cluster may not be, because the cluster may not be used for crop production. So, that is another difference in case of biodrainage and vertical drainage. So, here in case of biodrainage, the fast growing eucalyptus species known for luxurious water consumption under excess soil moisture conditions. So, eucalyptus is the best example in removing water from the subsurface. Okay. The eucalyptus trees biodrained around 2000 mm and 2800 mm, 3000 mm, 2400 mm of water in first, second, third and fourth year of groundwater salinity of 12 decisiemens per meter. So, this is this is done in PI Punjab Agriculture University. So, this is basically the eucalyptus trees biodrain act as biodrains, and which will remove 2000 mm of rainfalls in first year, second year, third year, fourth year. So, on an average, so it removes around 2500 mm in a year. So, that is a good amount, right. And then, so the next is biodrainage over conventional drainage. So, what is the advantage of biodrainage over conventional drainage? Here in case of biodrainage, no operational cost, as the plants use their bioenergy in draining out the excess groundwater into the atmosphere. So, in case of biodrainage, you do not require any pump or anything to remove water. That cost really excess cost, okay, that really but since it does not cost, no operational cost involved, because once it is growing, it will grow continuously, right. So, increase in worth with age instead of depreciation. So, as the plantation grows, so the worth of the plantation will increase, because it grows faster, and that can be used to sell, that can be used as a timber material, right, and that will give an excess economy or extra economy. So, no need of any drainage outfall and disposal of drainage effluent. So, in case of conventional drainage, you have to dispose the drainage water, but whereas in case of biodrainage, you do not require such kind of outfalls. Okay. So, because this is through evapotranspiration, so the water will be like the excess water will be thrown away into atmosphere. So, no environmental problem as the plants drain out filtered fresh water into the atmosphere. This is very good the indicator of environmental friendliness, because it filtered out the whatever metal, heavy metals, whatever it may be. So, the fresh water will be fresh water will be thrown into the atmosphere, not in case of conventional. Okay. So, in situ solution of the problem of waterlogging and salinity. So, this is the in situ solution. So, biodrainage gives an in situ solution of removing excess water and salinity problems. Okay. So, helps in carbon sequestration and carbon credit. So, since the plant is growing, so it absorbs carbon dioxide. So, that reduces the carbon load in the atmosphere. So, that will give the carbon credit, right. So, acts as windbreak and shelter belts agroforestry systems. So, since it is a biological strip or filter strip or the plantation strip, so this definitely will help in breaking the wind, right, reduces the wind erosion and all other things. So, and then third one is the mold drainage. Okay. So, the third one is the mold drainage. So, the mold drainage in case of, so the basically the mold drains are unlined circular soil channels which functions like pipe drains in heavy clay soils, okay, heavy clay subsoils. So, mold drain we already talked about this in the previous lectures. So, basically this is kind of a drainage. So, this is unlined in heavy clay soils. So, if you see this, so this is a channel which is made by a mold, right, and then this is the mold drain, and then the leg slot, which is also is kind of a cutter, right. So, and that is really important because that will break the soil and having the channel. So, whenever water is falling, so the water will take these channels and get into the mold drain. Okay. So, here why mold drainage? So, when natural drainage needs improving due to heavy clay subsoils. Okay. So, generally what happened in case of clay soils, so the machinery, the regular conventional drainage machinery cannot be useful in making the channels. Okay. So, it requires a specific or special kind of the drainage machinery. So, that is mold drain. And the areas affected by salt water logging. So, where the areas which are affected by salt water logging, so that is also required mold drainage. They do not drain groundwater, only water that enters from the above. So, this is because this is the clay soil. So, the groundwater entry into the system may not be possible, only the water which is falling on top, right, which is falling on top will take these fractures as pathways and meet into the drainage, not from the groundwater. and more sophisticated drainage system than other drains. So since it requires a special kind of machinery like a mole plow, so this is a sophisticated drainage system, right. And then so the next is when to mole drain. So the mole drain is practiced in a particular seasons, so that the catastrophe due to the drainage would be minimized. Okay, here the soil in the vicinity of the mole channel needs to be moist enough, right. So that is around 20 to 25% of clay percentage of moisture should be present in the clay soil, in subsoil, right, to form the channel, and usually occur in late spring and early summer. So in the early summer and late spring, so this may be possible, right. So once it is summer, what happens, the soil may not have enough moisture, so that may be less than 20 to 25%. So when it is dry, and it is very difficult to run the mole plow at all. So then the surface soil needs to be dry enough to form cracks to the time of mole drain plow traction. Okay. So here two things. So subsoil and surface soil. So surface soil and subsoil. Okay. So subsoil is required to make channels, whereas surface soil, so once it should, so this should be moist, right. So this should be moist, where this should be little dry. So that what happened, there is a formation of cracks. So cracks formation is very important. So we required it, because that will give a pathways for the water to enter into the channel. Okay. So then it is preferable for drying period with no rain to allow the cracks to dry and the mole channel to harden. Okay. So generally what happened, the main preferable period will be drying period. So drying period in the sense not exact in summer, but in between dry spells we can say. So the no rain to allow the cracks, right, and to dry, and the mole channel to harden it. So this is important. So here the pictures are showing the mole plow. So it looks like this is the mole plow. So it has a bulleted bottom, and then this will make channel. Okay. Basically this will make channel, and then this will compact the shape the channel, and this one basically the chisels the top surface, the surface, or it makes the cracks, we can say. Okay. So here you can see the channel how it is making. So mole drainage factors are soil should have a minimum 35% clay and less than 30% sand. Okay. So the soils which are suitable for mole drainage should have 35% clay and less than 30% sand, and gradients fall between 0.4 to 4%, right. So good gradients will be 3% grade we should maintain, so that water can easily transport from one end to other end. So water can flow from one end to other end. Generally moles are pulled at 40 to 60 centimeter depth. So this is not so deep, it's most of the crops can be covered here 40 to 60 centimeter, and a rule of thumb is that expander to mole drainage depth ratio is 1:7. So that means, so if you are going for 70 mm diameter expander, should have a mole depth of 490 mm. So it is like if this is 70 mm, right, 70 mm expander. So then the depth should be around 490 meter depth. Okay. So that is the thumb rule, and spacing between moles should be between 2 to 5 meter, right. So 2 moles. So you have a spacing between 2 moles, mole drains will be 2 to 5 meter, and accepted maximum effective length is 200 meter. In some cases it can go up to 400 meter also. So, but mostly the effective length will be 200 meter. So, about 1 to 3 meter long pipe should be inserted into the mold drain channel to prevent outlet destructions and soil erosion. So, at the outlet because inside is okay, but outlet is very important to get all water out safely, right. So, around 3 to 4 meter long pipe is inserted at the outlet, right, so that the water will be safely come out and without collapsing the channels. And low cost PVC pipe of 1 to 3 meter size should be selected for outlet. So, mostly the PVC pipe is being used for outlet. So, here if you see there are some other factors like good fertilizer management practices such as not applying fertilizer within 4 days of predicted rain should be should reduce the nutrient runoff the minimum. Okay. So, fertilizer application should be taken care of while designing, right, while removing the water. So, generally the fertilizer application will be taken place like 4 days of predicted rain, right, within 4 days of predicted rain. So, that the fertilizer may not be transported or may not be run off from the fields. Like open drain outlets should be fenced off from the stock and kept clean. So, the outfalls is above the drain water level. So, this is very important, the open drain outlets. So, that should be fenced so that it can avoid allowing the animals and other things. And also, so also what happens, so that will keep the drain base above the water level. Okay. So, the drainage trenches can outfall to dams so that more water can be harvested. So, sometimes what drain trenches can be outfall to dams so that more water can be harvested right to the drains. And molds should be pulled at 2 to 3 kilometers per hour. So, this is the speed of machine to make channels to minimize the disruption or tearing of mold channels and increase the mold life. So, this is 2 to 3 kilometer per hour pulling velocity or the minimum to avoid disruption, right, and also increasing the mold life. And here if you see in this picture, so these are the mold channels, right, mold channels, and these are the cracks. So, through which water is going to flow and pass through this, and the leg slot length 400 to 600 meter depth, right, 600 mm, right. And the next is so this is all about these non-conventional drainage systems. So, basically it has 3 types. One is vertical drainage, biodrainage and mold drainage. So, in case of vertical drainage, we mostly use the tube wells, okay, to remove water, but it requires pumps. It requires pumps to remove water from wells, and compared to conventional drainage. So, this vertical drainage is economical, but the operation cost is more compared to conventional drainage. And then the biodrainage, so removing excess water by planting plantation of crops. Okay. So, here best example is eucalyptus plant, eucalyptus trees. So, they can go deeper and then remove water around 2500 mm from the agricultural lands. So, the biodrainage is advantageous than conventional drainage because it does not require operational cost, and since it is a natural growth. So, over a period of time, so you get economy on that, and you get profits by selling the timbers or the tree. So, and also it helps in carbon sequestration and carbon crediting, okay. And also the pollution wise, it is less, it is no pollution, because the water is being filtered from the surface and remove and then thrown into the atmosphere, okay. So, then the other one is mold drainage. In mold drainage, generally practiced in heavy clay subsoils. So, it has a particular I mean mold plow, so that will make channel, and then the cutting tool, I mean the lug, right. So, that makes the channels from the surface. So, the cracking will be happened, like the cracks will be formed at the surface, and subsurface there is a channel. So, the water enters through the cracks and fill the mold channels, okay. So, then so the mold drainage is generally practiced in draining, I mean dry periods, dry spells, so that the cracks, or I mean the cracks on surface are not collapsed. At the same time, the channel is not getting too much wet. So, generally 22 to 20 20%, 22 to 20% moisture we expect in the subsoil, in the clay soil, whereas in the top we expect a dry soil. So, that can make, it is not too much dry, but it is relatively dry, so that you can have clear channels, okay. So, overall the conventional drainage systems are less I mean cost, or less operating cost, I mean comparatively the conventional drainage systems. So, these are used when there is a I mean when there is no provision to operate the conventional drainage systems, okay. Yeah, thank you so much.